The CEO of Epic Games, Tim Sweeney, just confirmed when Fortnite Mobile is going to be returning to iOS. This announcement comes after he cryptically tweeted earlier on this year, sort of a tease or a leak or a rumor that Fortnite Mobile might be returning to iOS in some capacity, but nothing was confirmed until today, where he hopped on an interview with CypherPK and Ali A, and they actually asked the CEO of Epic Games, Tim Sweeney, when will Fortnite Mobile be returning, and his answer is shocking. Now, Tim Sweeney up to this point has been very gatekept and very reserved in terms of what he has said about the Epic Games versus Apple and Google Play lawsuit. As you guys know, back in 2020, Epic Games entered a multi-year lawsuit and court case battle with these two tech giants because they both removed the Fortnite app off of their app stores. Tim Sweeney was like, nah, that's not gonna fly. Sued them both. They sued back. Originally back in 2021, Epic Games lost the first round of court cases, but the way court cases work in the United States is you can actually do multiple court cases and trials of the exact same issue. So they're just currently going around the country filing as many court cases and lawsuits as they can to try to finally get a win and a legal resolution to this matter, but it looks like that might not be necessary in order for Fortnite Mobile to return back to iOS devices, as Tim Sweeney has just sort of confirmed a rumor that was floating around as to when Fortnite will return to iOS, and that being later this year. Now, to get the full context of what Tim Sweeney says, I'm just going to go ahead and watch the interview CypherPK and Ali A did with the CEO.
And now Ali A had an important question. Is there any updates on Fortnite Mobile?
I'd like to follow on a little
buddy.
bit. Tim, I know you're super passionate about the mobile space, and obviously you went head to head with Apple, and that's what happened with Fortnite ending up coming off the App Store.
And it did
And
get
I totally
removed.
agree with your stance personally. But in terms of actually players coming to Fortnite, I'm sure you guys felt the hit of it not being available on the App Store. Are you guys still
I did, at least.
proactively looking to get as many people onto Fortnite as easily as possible through both mobile and tablet devices?
Yeah, well, both Apple and Google kicked Fortnite out. Right? They're trying to kill our company in order that we won't be able to fight them
That's a bit
robustly in the
extreme.
future.
He's not totally wrong, though.
That's their business strategy. You have a whole lot of regulators and a number of court cases all fighting to stop that. But we need to win this fight. Like, if Epic dropped this fight and surrendered, the app stores taking 30% off the top would make way more money or way more profit from
But at
anybody's
least the game would be back on the App Store.
than the developers themselves make. Even with the revenue sharing we're doing, you're going to find as a developer, you actually have a lot of costs. You have to pay, contractors, you have to pay employees, you have to pay for hardware, you have to pay for advertising. Very few companies have a 40% profit margin. And so it just like stinks that they're still trying to maintain this business model where they make more money from everybody's games than the game makers themselves make. And so we have to stop that, right? And that we need to return the industry to its roots. The Apple of Steve
that's me in
Wozniak
the
was an
gameplay.
awesome
Let's
company.
go.
They give you a computer, you could install anything you wanted on it. You could sell your own software. You could make your own software. They even gave you the diagrams of the circuit boards in the computer, so you could make your own peripherals for it if you were a hardware guy. And that spirit doesn't need to be dead here. So the way back to mobile is to win. We've made awesome strides there. There's awesome new European legislation that will change the practices in Europe. So Europe will be opened up.
So obviously they want.
Well, okay, so he snuck this in at the very, very end. Literally the last words in the entire interview, he said, Europe will be opened up. Now, prior to that, him just slipping in that vital piece of information in this interview, he basically just recapped the entire lawsuit up to this point, where Epic Games is fighting Apple and Google in regards to their sort of monopolistic and predatory practices when it comes to the App Store, where they take 30% of in-app revenue purchases. You guys most likely know this, but Tim Sweeney thinks that is wrong, that shouldn't happen, and that's why this lawsuit is being fought. And he had a good point saying, like, at this point in time, you can't really give up. They've already been battling these mega tech companies for 3 years now, so at least in terms of the lawsuit and them winning the lawsuit so that the game could return worldwide on every platform, with no strings attached, the best way about it is just for them to win the lawsuit. And they're already 2.5, almost 3 years deep now, so they might as well just keep on going, keep on fighting the lawsuit, and hopefully one day they win. But at the very end, like the last sentence, he slipped in the fact that there's been huge changes in European regulations and the way that smartphone manufacturers are going to have to develop their phones this coming year in 2024. And then he said Europe will be wide open. Now, he is referring to some new European legislation that is going to require all smartphone manufacturers, basically they're just kind of referencing Apple because all the Android smartphones already have this feature. The feature I'm talking about is the ability to sideload apps or to download third-party apps externally from the App Store. So right now on iOS, if you want to download an app, you have to go to the App Store and download the app. If there's a game or if there's an app that you want to download that is not on the App Store on your iOS device, you simply cannot download it. It is impossible unless you connect your phone up to your computer and force it on there. It's a lot of complicated stuff, but no one's really going to do that. However, on Android, it is super simple to download third-party apps on a device. If there's an app that you want to download that is not on the Google Play Store, well, then you're in luck, because if you just do a quick Google search of the app, let's say, for example, the Epic Games Store or Fortnite, those apps are both not on the Google Play Store, but they're both downloadable on Android because of the way the Android operating system works and how it is kind of open platform and accessible in those regards. So I would Google the Epic Games Store. I would be able to go to Fortnite's website. I would be able to download it, install it with a few short clicks, and that is that. So this new European legislation is virtually going to require the iOS operating system to function the exact same way. It is going to require that owners of the iPhone in Europe have the exact same ability to install third-party apps like Android, because the European Union or the EU legislators, they think that what Apple is doing is too predatory, it's too restrictive, it's too forceful to have only apps beyond the App Store. And not to get too into politics, but this is massive. This is something that Apple can't just be like, nah, man, we're not going to do this. Apple is legally required that if they want their devices to work in Europe, they have to comply with this legislation. And the awesome part is this legislation goes into effect by 2024. All iPhones will have to have this feature in place by the time 2024 comes on. So basically by the end of this year. By the end of this year, Apple is going to have to implement this brand new software into their iOS devices for the European region. And so that way, users in Europe will be able to download Fortnite on iOS again. Now, I know you guys are thinking to yourself, Ducky, I don't live in Europe. Hey, neither do I. So how do I play Fortnite once this new update is out for iOS and once Fortnite iOS is back on mobile later this year? Well, that's a great question, and there's two possible answers. Right now, these are both just hypotheticals, but they're really the only two ways that I can see this working out. The first one is a very simple one, and it's one you all are probably familiar with: VPNing. Using a VPN, you can basically trick your phone or your internet into thinking you're in a different location in the world. So I could turn on a VPN, connect to Europe, and then using a European Apple ID, I would be able to go to the App Store and download the Epic Games Store or Fortnite, or however Fortnite gets back on the App Store. I would be able to go to the App Store, download the game, and that would be that. However, I think things are going to be a lot more complicated because this legislation is only being required right now in Europe. There is no legislation within the United States that says that Apple have to have the exact same software and the ability to download third-party apps in the US or other parts of the world. I'm thinking that this software is going to be regions locked or region specific, meaning you're only going to have the ability to download from off of the App Store if you live in Europe, meaning you won't be able to VPN to Europe and download something off of the App Store, download something off the web. There's a small chance that happens, but more likely than not, Apple realizes they're going to be taking a huge hit on revenue because people are going to be going outside of the App Store to download apps and games, and that means less revenue for them from in-app purchases. And so personally, I think they're going to be really restrictive about this, and they're going to make it so that only phones like European iPhones can install this update and can download apps from the web or from other sources. They bypass the App Store. But once again, it's all still very early on in this, and if you're wondering when is this iOS update going to be coming out, rumors and speculations are pointing towards September, as September is when Apple has planned for their next big conference to be held. And whenever they hold these massive conferences, they usually announce the latest version of iOS, which will be, in this case, iOS 17. And for this, they will also be announcing all the new features, and I imagine this is going to be a really big point of their conference and of their iOS version, is the fact that people in different countries can now sideload apps and download third-party apps. But as always, you know the drill. I'm going to keep you guys updated with everything you need to know about Fortnite Mobile, as it seems like it's coming back this year. One way or another, I'm going to find my way to get my hands on Fortnite Mobile Chapter 4 this year because I want to play it on iOS again. I'd appreciate if you guys drop a like on this video if you're hyped for Fortnite Mobile to come back, and if you want to make sure you stay up to date with all the news regarding Fortnite Mobile returning to iOS, make sure you drop a sub as well, because once again, I'm going to be keeping you all up to date on the latest news regarding this topic. But until then, it's been Ducky the Gamer, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.